Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is fairest of them all? Many of you remember that line from the Disney movie Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Natalie, have you seen that movie? Snow White? I like that movie. Well, most of us do not have a mirror who will answer us back. We don't have talking mirrors, and they don't speak to us when we look at ourselves. Whether we're looking at the physical reality or the metaphysical reality, the mirror has something to tell us. The question is, what is the mirror saying? And are we seeing what is really there? Today, we're talking about mirrors and metaphysics. Spiritual metaphysics, defined by Owen Waters, says, while physics is the study of physical reality, metaphysics includes that which is beyond the physical, but not necessarily the spiritual. Spiritual metaphysics takes an entirely different orientation. Spiritual metaphysics sees an ultimate metaphysical source of all creation as the basis of reality. So when we're looking at metaphysics, we're looking for the source of all reality. This one spiritual source is known by various terms, including the absolute, infinite being, all that is, and the term infinite being or God. This encapsulates the idea of infinite consciousness beyond which nothing else can exist. Now, while physics ponders how to account for the mysterious effects of consciousness on experiments, spiritual metaphysics goes beyond the mystery, because all things are made of consciousness. Then all things are actually consciousness. All things are aware in their own way. When you see the universe from this spiritual perspective, it is no longer a mystery why a pair of related atomic particles consciously communicate with each other. Two atomic particles can communicate with each other because they have their own consciousness. They may not have self-consciousness of human beings, but when they meet, they remember each other and they stay in communication. If one collides with another obstacle, then the other one feels it and responds accordingly. Research in spiritual metaphysics does not take place in the laboratory. Instead, it's an inside job. The primary research tool for spiritual metaphysics is meditation. The purpose of meditation in metaphysical research is to access expanded states of awareness. For example, in deep meditation, you can expand your awareness to the limits of space and observe the shape of the universe. Not many of us probably have experienced that because we never really considered whether or not we wanted to, or didn't think about it in the first place. But it certainly is possible as we set our intentions to do that. The mirror is a modern symbol that helps us see our place in our universe. So if a mirror were a common household fixture in his day, Jesus would have used it as a symbol for the inner kingdom. The mirror reflects only that which it sees. Unless we have a distorted mirror, it reflects that image accurately. So now there is no question of what is causing that distortion in the mirror, because we know that it is us. We are the ones that cause the distortion in the mirror, because the mirror, unless it has a distortion in it, reflects everything perfectly, exactly as it's seen, or at least it appears that way. Actually, we discovered this morning as we were looking at our life that it actually is reversed in the mirror. So even if we see ourselves in the mirror, we don't really see our true selves because we're seeing the reverse. And since we are not symmetrical, we do not see it exactly accurately. Now, there's no question of what is causing that distortion, is there? We know that we are the ones that are causing it. Just like when we look into a mirror, and just like, take for example, an anorexic person who looks into the mirror, they see a person who is fat when in reality they are skin and bone. And so we don't always see correctly. So the distortion is really ours. And of course, Jesus would give the same answer, that we are the ones who create that distortion. A major step in spiritual and mental growth is the realization that we can let the mirror be a friend to us in our advancement. We can use the mirror. And I'm not talking just about a physical mirror, but our own metaphysical mirrors. We can let the mirror work for us to reveal what we need to work on, or we can be like the queen in Snow White while she speaks to the mirror. And here's what she says: "Slave in the magic mirror, come from the farthest space, through wind and darkness I summon thee, speak. Let me see your face." Now, the first word of this Disney film is slave. And who is the slave but the one saying the word? In theory, structuralism is an approach which communicates to the audience through the way it structures opposites and opposing forces throughout the story. For example, the queen is a slave to her own appetites. Snow White, while dressed as a slave, a scullery maid, but is royal in blood and beauty, the queen is dressed as royalty, but is not royal by right of blood or inner beauty, and she is the slave to her own vanity. A mental mirror can be a great tool for us, since it can reveal what is going on in our lives. If you stand in front of the mirror and really look, you will observe several very interesting things. First of all, a mirror is only the way you see when you see what your face looks like. Do you realize you can't see what your face looks like without a mirror? You could have a big scar on your face and you would never know it. You might perceive yourself as attractive or ugly, but you really wouldn't know because you'd never seen your face, because you're just looking out of these eyes, and these eyes can't see your face. Your face might be dirty, or it might be clean, but you really don't know because you can't really see it. And so, it's the only thing that we have that's going to show us what we really look like. You have no idea what you look like. So you must have a mirror to see it. And this is very important to remember, of course, that the mirror is not you. It's simply a reflection. It looks exactly like you, but there really is nothing there. You'd have to be nuts to look in the mirror, see the outfit you're wearing, and try to change the clothes in the mirror. Because you can't do that. It can only reflect back to you what it sees. And most of what we see in this life is a reflection of our own inner reality. If we see beauty, it is because we have beauty within us. A group of us went to Holden Arboretum yesterday to see the beautiful flowers that are in bloom there. The rhododendrons are amazing, and if you haven't been out, I would urge you to go. Today's a lovely day, by the way, to go, with lots of sun to really show off the flowers. And, we can see that beauty because we have the beauty within us. We can see it because we have it within us, and therefore we can relate to it on a different level. And so we see the beauty, and we know because it reflects exactly what is in front of us and what is within us. At exactly the moment that it is in front of us, it is exactly a picture of what it looks like. You don't move your hand, and a couple of seconds later the mirror image moves, does it? You know, when we're trying to manifest something, we need to think about this, because when we're trying to manifest something, we forget that it all starts in our mind and it manifests in life. In the mirror, it shows us how it's supposed to really work, because it happens immediately. You know, you don't move your arm and a second later your arm moves. The mirror shows it moving in real time. And so its manifestation as a direct reflection of thought, feeling, and belief. It doesn't have a time lag. There is no time lag. It just shows up immediately. It doesn't have to catch up. It doesn't have to take its time. It's your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs that are taking the time or changing gradually. Remember that the next time you are trying to manifest something, remember that it's supposed to be immediately. That's how it's supposed to work. Most of us are not there yet, but we're getting there. And I imagine you're watching it happen in your life every day. Aren't you sometimes watching things happen, you have a thought and you think, man, I'd love to do that. And the next thing you know, an opportunity comes along to be able to do it. Think of the universe as a living theater of expression. I love this analogy because I think we are all, as Shakespeare said, actors upon a stage. And so our spirit souls, and I put the two together because they're really inseparable, opted for a total immersion within the drama of the theater of life. And we all came here and we just jumped right in with both feet, didn't we? We had one problem. We began to forget who we really were, and we forgot our connection with the spirit that is within us. And as that happened, we were disconnected from our source. Our humanity focuses on a world that appears to be exterior to us. We see everything out there, and it's very beguiling. It really catches our attention, and it keeps our attention. And it does not let up. I mean, it's going on all the time. And so they don't, our humanity, the problem with mirrors is that they don't show us reality at all. They don't show us our inner reality. Not only do they not reflect our true hearts, but they show us the outside only through the ego-tinted glasses that we wear. Our five senses, everything we see, taste, smell, touch, and hear, keep our brains so busy that it takes determination to find the peace and the wisdom which lies within. So we have all of these distractions going on all the time that are keeping us from seeing what it is that is within us. Spiritual metaphysics sees the universe as a mirror. Who you are and what you express in thought, feeling, and action causes the mirror of life to reflect that back to you. So what you're doing in your life today is going to be reflected back to you in your life. So if we want good things in our life, we put our attention on those good things. We don't put our attention on the things we don't want. We don't put our attention on the war. Someone reminded me the other day. She said, Mother Teresa said, if you have a rally for war, I'm not coming, but if you have one for peace, I'll be there. Because here are the things that we have learned. When we're against something, what it does is it actually has an attraction to us. So we do not want to be against anything. What we need to do is attract those things that we want. Spiritual metaphysics sees the universe as a mirror. Who we are and what you express in thought and action truly does come back to you in this life. If, for example, you like yourself, other people will like you, often without even knowing why. So if you want people to like you more, you need to discover and dissolve those inner blocks that are keeping you from loving yourself unconditionally. And accept yourself. When you love yourself more in an unconditional manner, life will reflect your improved attitude towards yourself and people will love you more. And I think this really rings true. You can see in a person's self-confidence often whether they love each other or love themselves or not. Because if you love yourself, you exude a self-confidence within yourself that says, I'm really worth loving. And so as you do this, people are drawn to you because all people are drawn to love. The mirror of life is automatic. Once you change yourself and not before, the reflection changes and your reality transforms to reflect the new you. So imagine if we could stand before a metaphysical mirror and see our bare souls reflected for us to gaze upon. How would that look? Imagine if we could see our naked hearts reflected as in a mirror. We can often see those things through the people with whom we surround ourselves. Have you noticed that? Have you noticed the people that you surround yourself with are the ones who are much like you? I see you all, you come to this church. You come to this church because you are here, because you're drawn by the people who are here, because they're much like you are. And so this is how it works. We are drawn to those places where people have like ideas and like minds. We see people at the orchestra who love music, and you all have that in common when you go there. We can often see those things through the people with whom we surround ourselves. We can see, and also they can produce mirrors for us. If we look at someone and we have a judgmental thought, guess who's having the judgmental thought? It's not them. We are having the judgmental thought, and through having that judgmental thought, we know that we have that characteristic within us. And so we have to be very, very careful of how we perceive others, or take it as a lesson, because it's a good lesson. It's a very good lesson. Because if I see something in another person that I don't particularly like, I know that trait is probably in me in some way. And so it's time for me to look at me, not look at them. That's where that saying that Jesus said, take care of the log in your own eye before you mess with the speck in the other person's eye. Then your mind will be clear to help them. If you were to see your soul reflected, would you be happy with the sight? If the true intentions of your heart were laid bare in a mirror, would you like the way they looked? Would you like what you saw? I hope you would say yes, or at least, like me, might say that you are growing to like the look. When we see the world around us seems changed for the better, we know that we have changed. We can tell where we are in consciousness by how the world around us looks. Now, we can go in and out of different consciousness. You realize that. And we all have days when we feel depressed. We all have days when life just doesn't seem to be exactly what we had in mind. And yet, tomorrow could be entirely different, because what we think during those days when things don't look right create what we will experience tomorrow. So it's important when we're having those down days not to wallow. And some of us have an affinity for wallowing. So we don't want to wallow. We want to get out of it as quickly as possible, to change our minds, even if we don't feel like it, and say a quick affirmation of, hey, wait a minute, this is not how I want to feel. I have a choice. And in that choice, change your mind to make it something different. In our culture, where appearances are everything, as the wicked queen, in a world where straight teeth in the mouth are more important than the words that come out of them, we are called home to our spiritual soul. All of us are being called every day to our spirit. We are being called away from this world, above this world, in order to see something new. We are reminded that our essence is our heart, our true self, represented by Snow White. And this is the space out of which we find our real courage, beyond what we knew was possible. And this is the place where we show real compassion beyond expectation and express authentic love beyond words. Going within, setting an intention to be aware of our connection is the way home. We come home to our true selves because we are reminded that God's Spirit resides within us as us. And if God resides right here, right within each one of you, that how could we not achieve great things? How could we not? It is our destiny, as we are no less than collaborators with God. So let's get busy in our lives today. Let us get busy and create that which is of real value in this lifetime, so that we might show the world who we really are, so that they begin to see who they really are. God bless you, and thank you.